On June 6th, ICE started a large deportation effort in Los Angeles. Over the course of this week, they have started the deportation process of at least 118 people. ICE is well within their legal authority to deport individuals, whether they are part of a gang or have just overstayed their visas. That's end of discussion. There is no argument. But here's the kicker. Since 2008, we have had a self-deportation program. Under this program, a non-criminal immigrant that had overstayed their visa would be able to self-report their illegal status and leave the country of their own free will. Doing this would allow them and their family to be fast-tracked to citizenship, skipping lines and other processes, all because they were being honest. Doesn't that sound like a great system and something that is agreed upon by both sides? There are people here illegally in this country that are a benefit to us and that we want. So we gave them a way to come back. These programs were upheld under Joe Biden and are still in place today because it's a good idea. The Trump administration ran a pretty intense ad campaign discussing this program, which it supported and encouraged anyone who is here illegally to utilize. Now, let me ask you this. Have you heard the Republican or Democrat media discussing these programs? Have you heard them explain to their viewers what they could mean for these families that fear deportation? Unless I'm missing something, you haven't. But I guarantee you have heard AOC explaining the rights you have when ICE tries to detain you. Neither side is looking for a resolution to this. The truth is, the Democrats want these people who have broken laws in this country to avoid any consequences. You hear a lot of people on the left trying to make the claim that it is not a crime to enter the country illegally, when that's not true. Even if you use this program, you will face consequences for breaking our laws. And before you say anything about these rules being the result of an authoritarian government, they were implemented under Bill Clinton. Under the current voluntary deportation process, if you self-deport over 180 days after your visa expires, but under a year, you will receive a temporary 3-year ban. Over 1 year, and that number jumps to 10 years. Those are the consequences for breaking our immigration law, and it has been that way for 3 decades now. But you would think that these laws are not in place by how these Democrat leaders are freaking out. We need law and order in this country. And what is happening in LA this week is the opposite of that. This is shades of 2020 during the Black Lives Matter protests following the death of George Floyd. Now, I am not here to make a statement on Black Lives Matter or the movement in 2020. I just want to explain the damage it did to the community that dealt with the riots. Axios has the damage from the 2020 riots totaling anywhere from $1 to $2 billion. Minneapolis was the epicenter of the riots. It's filled with minority-owned businesses. As much as 50% of businesses in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area are owned by minorities, and their insurance claims were $500 million, one of the most expensive in the country. Those riots hurt the very people they were marching for. Now let's look at the riots of this past week. The mostly peaceful riots of 2020 that caused billions of dollars of property damage have not been forgotten. People are taking to the streets to protest ICE agents doing their jobs. We have people harassing them and impeding them from getting their job done. Under 18 U.S. Code 111, assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers or employees, this makes it a crime to forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, or interfere with any officer or employee of the United States while they were performing their official duties. ICE agents are federal officials, so this applies directly to them. The penalties of simple resistance without any physical force can be a misdemeanor, up to 1 year in prison. If physical force or a deadly weapon is involved, it becomes a felony, punishable by up to 8 years or more if there's serious bodily injury or weapon use. Now let's take a look at various protests around LA and decide if physical force is being used to impede these federal workers from performing their official duties. This is an official report from the Department of Homeland Security. On June 6th, over 1,000 rioters surrounded a federal law enforcement building and assaulted ICE law enforcement officers, slashed tires, defaced buildings, and taxpayer-funded property. It took LAPD almost 2 hours to respond. In recent days, ICE agents are facing a 413% increase in assaults against them, and that has resulted in their families being doxxed and targeted in these attacks as well. They reported that despite this, ICE has arrested 2,000 aliens a day and 118 in LA County on June 6th. 5 of those were dangerous gang members, and the rest were people with prior criminal histories of drug trafficking, assault, cruelty to children, domestic violence, robbery, and alien smuggling. To me, that sounds like impeding ICE's ability to function properly. If you are at the protest in LA, understand that this is who you are protesting for. This is who you want to protect. Let's look at the federal buildings that have been vandalized. The Metropolitan Detention Center and Edward R. Roybal Federal Building in downtown LA have had their windows vandalized and anti-ICE graffiti plastered on them. That sounds like violence to me. If you are like me and have spent much of the day watching MSNBC and CNN and have felt frustrated by the intellectual dishonesty displayed almost every minute, they continue to push the narrative that this is a peaceful protest. This is just not true. ICE and DHE vehicles have been vandalized, resulting in slashed tires, broken windows, and their SUVs being set on fire. Is that peaceful? Are the small businesses in Boyle Heights and downtown LA being destroyed and looted lying? Was the AMPM that had its windows destroyed and beer stolen from its shelves also lying? Were the people throwing rocks at law enforcement within their rights? Can someone from all of these news networks explain to me how the millions of dollars of damage comes from a peaceful protest? This is not okay. Understand that if you are rooting for these law enforcement officers or ICE agents to be harmed, you are on the wrong side of this argument. The chaos of this situation will likely continue to escalate over the coming days. What is happening in LA should be a warning to the rest of the country. We as Americans need to get our act together. Vandalism and theft is not a peaceful protest. Doxing ICE agents and their families is not a peaceful protest, and blocking federal agents from doing their jobs is a crime. I hope everyone who is reporting this as a peaceful protest understands that they are the ones sowing the division in this country. They are the reason average people don't trust the media anymore. And I could say, do better, but will they? No, they won't. They will continue showing what they want to show. I watched MSNBC displaying footage of the riots, and when a man started spray painting public property, they quickly panned away to hide it. You're being lied to. This is what happens when we have a media system built on partisan commentators that ignore reality to push their agenda. If you are frustrated by these riots and the coverage of them, please let me know. I hope I'm not the only one out there. Thank you for watching this video, and remember to keep speaking like you're off the record.